Thank you very much, Tona, and thanks everyone. It's great to be here. Although there's a part of me that wishes that I was there physically, but that isn't possible. But it's fantastic to be here, and I'm really happy that we've been invited to speak on this event. I mean, you know, the New York Circular City Initiative, which I'm mainly going to talk about, has a lot to thank Circular City Week, because Tona and others in the was first of all super helpful in kind of in their comments and their thoughts on the work that we did, but also in the network that was already created and that existed and we're able to tap into. So really grateful for that. Now let me say a little bit about why we started this idea of contributing to helping the city of New York make the transition to the circular economy. We've got climate change, which is a real and serious threat. We've got resource scarcity, which is a significant impediment to our ability to continue to thrive in our societies. We've got an increasing waste mountain, whether it's visible or not. It's nevertheless there, and it's in the oceans, and it's land, and it's everywhere. And then we've got the pandemic, which of course has, taken way too many lives and affected all of us deeply. It's also affected our economies, and we really need to think about how do we recover from that. And it's affected jobs. People have lost their jobs as a result of this. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this is because the New York Circular City Initiative kind of ties into a lot of these things. What we were looking for is things to address that, but it's very clear that you can't, no one organization in the world, not even the United Nations, can address all these challenges alone. And critical need for partnerships is therefore very, very clear. Now we then thought, okay, so if we're going to try and have, give a positive contribution to the city of New York, what kind of partnership do we need? I'm just going to briefly share my slides, my screen here, just so you know who was involved in this. Because this initiative started initially at the end of 2019 to create a particular vision for the city of New York, which was to imagine a New York City where environmental pollution is minimized, where thousands of good jobs, people of all social and economic backgrounds are created through the intelligent use of products and raw materials. And to create a city, therefore, that is thriving, green, and just. So this addresses a number of the issues that I talked about earlier. It addresses waste. It addresses economic growth. It addresses job creation. It also addresses the critical social inequalities that have become very apparent in the last year. So all of the things I think we're very keen to, and we wanted through the partnership to do that. The partnerships, generally partnerships, I think they're great because they bring so many different perspectives. They bring a number of different people together who can add different things to the challenge and help together address it. And that's what we tried to do with this partnership. And if I move on to the next, I can show you a little bit of who were the people involved in this work, the organizations that were involved in this. And together we worked both on the content and on the partnership itself. So it was really thinking about how can we best work together, and how can we get the most of each other's expertise, of each other's influence, in order to achieve a positive outcome. And as you'll see from the slide, which I hope is visible on the screen, we have organizations ranging from the mayor's office in New York City Economic Development Corporation, both of whom, of course, are very influential and can drive change. But we've got big businesses like Unilever, Systems. We had significant financial institutions, Goldman Sachs, HSBC. We've got some real experts on this topic, people like Arup and the Foundation, Closed Loop Partners, Circular Economy, and all of those people, who really understand this. And bringing all that together, I think, was very powerful. So what we did is we identified a set of levers for change, or levers, as you say, on your side of the Atlantic. And how we able through these levers to achieve the kind of change that is needed? And what are those levers? And we ended up through a process of research and collaboration where we end up with 10 levers. The creation of circular marketplaces and the creation of circular procurement practices were two of the ones that really came out very strongly. as something that we need to enable if we want to have circular economies happening at the local level. And that was really quite key. But what we also saw from the levels was the importance of finance and policy as very important drivers. So the need for finance to be there to facilitate what has real potential to generate value, I think was absolutely critical in all of this. And the need for policy to do what it can do within communities, within cities, within regions to make all that happen. I think that was, you can see all of that in the findings of the report, which is available at www.circularnyc.org. So if you want to find out more on that, look there. And so what we did with this partnership is try as much as possible to bring together all these players. I think the one dimension that wasn't present at this part of the next stage were the grassroots organizations in the city of New York. Those organizations that have their ears to the ground as to what's really going on and what kind of change is needed, what kind of jobs are possible, etc. I think that's the really exciting bit of what comes next. And I'm really delighted that EDC is taking over this initiative and kind of taking it forward and really starting to implement what will happen. And we'll hear about that in a little bit. But what we try to do with this work is set a vision of what is possible for the city of New York. And in a way that vision is one that is typical for New York. But that being said, the approach that we took, the methodology that we took, the way of looking at it through the lens of lens for change and then drawing from that is one that is replicable everywhere. And there are a number of cities for whom this type of work could really apply. And if you're interested in the circular economy and you come from a city where you think that this would be useful, then we'd be very happy, of course, to share the approach that we took and help you apply in your location. So I'll end with that. I'm really excited about the rest of the week. I'm really excited about the rest of the session as well, and particularly really excited about what's going to happen in New York to try and deliver a circular economy for New York City.